We've got an hour of work ahead of us, my friends. It's not easy work, but it's rewarding, and it's righteous. And no one's going to do it but us. I'm Howard Riell, and the show is called Riell Truth Item from Reason.com. A leaked memo circulating among Senate Democrats contains a host of bonkers authoritarian proposals for regulating digital platforms, purportedly as a way to get tough on Russian bots and fake news. To save American trust in, quote, our institutions, democracy, free press, and markets, unquote, it suggests we need unprecedented and undemocratic government interventions into online press and markets, including, quote, comprehensive GDPR-like data protection legislation, unquote, of the sort enacted in the EU, unquote. My friends, very obviously, this is a liberal proposal. No surprise, liberals want to take away our freedoms. It's just part of the entire package that liberals, Democrats, want to foist on America given the chance. For example, the end of free speech, open borders, amnesty and voting rights for illegals, expanded welfare, abolishing ICE, raising your taxes, transgender bathrooms, enforcing the use of gender-neutral pronouns, more regulation, nuclear weapons for Iran, gun control in America, abortion on demand, political correctness, burning the U.S. flag, ignoring the Constitution, support for Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and for the Palestinians. These are the issues that the Democrats have to run on. Now, you won't hear them talking about any of them because who in his right mind would want to run on any of these issues? So instead, they scream racism. Well, folks, if you're listening to this show, you're probably quite bright and well-informed. However, there may be some of you who just tripped over the show on the radio just now, don't know what you're listening to, never heard of me. Well, your life has just become enriched. Because I'm going to teach you not to throw away your vote on people who are trying to sink the United States of America, people who are diametrically opposed to everything that's made the United States of America great. Instead, I want you to see the world through a new lens, through a common sense, logical, rational lens. And once you do that, you'll wonder how you ever inhabited the madhouse, funhouse mirror of life called liberalism. Every one of these policies liberals love, every one of them will poison this country, ruin your life, ruin the lives of your children and grandchildren, and so. Time to get your thinking cap screwed on right. Step one is listening to the rest of the show. It's Tuesday. It's Riell Truth. I'm Howard Riell, and I will be right back.
Out of sight should not be out of mind. Let's remember our great man. Be not specific response to help. Just call your local veterans organization. This message comes the electric and regular good specialist. Visit them online or call 970-493-4077. That's 970-493-4077. He loves it enough. Every spirit, the personal spirit, but the air thought, because any topic has gone into the void. By the fulfillment of the Spirit of God, every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God, and this is the spirit of the Christ, which is already heard the coming, and is now operating for
My friends, don't forget now, August 23rd, my 10-year anniversary on Riell Truth. Let's get to it. All those positions that I just read to you, all those leftist positions that make no sense, that no one with 2 IQ points to rub together would ever adopt, they are the liberal platform. Now, if you think they're extreme, you ain't seen nothing yet, because the left is moving harder left than ever before. Here's Mark Steyn on the Tucker Carlson Show. Well, you say that as someone who's a complete moron. This broad wants to be Attorney General and prosecute ICE because they're following the law. Prosecute them because they are following the law. That's liberal logic.
For her. And conservative lawmakers on the
Now, my folks, I'm not the one who called Maxine Waters a crazed hag, but... Oh, I'm sorry, I am the one. Because the Democrats always lie their asses off. That's the only way they get elected. excuse me, Brian, hang on. When you're on the left, when you're a Democrat, you don't need to have substance. She's got brown skin and a vagina. What more does she need? Brian, hang on. The debate is whether or not the United States will survive or not. You can get buried in specific issues, but bottom line, will the United States survive or won't it? That is the core issue. That is the jugular vein of this upcoming election. And we need to know that. We're not fighting for a political stance or for a wall. We're fighting for our nation's survival and our children's futures. That's what's at stake. We'll be back. My friends, I told you yesterday that racism is okay now. The New York Times says so, by hiring and now by not firing a nitwit named Sarah Jung who hates white people. Here's Ann Coulter to weigh in.
I was executive producer of Millions for him, and he's off today slaving away on Kennedy Babylon 2. And joining us now on the Howie Carr Show, as she was pretty much every Monday, is Ann Coulter, the New York Times bestselling author. Ian, thank you for joining us on the Howie Carr Show.
He's at the beach.
No, Howie Carr is not at the beach. He's not. Dale is not here. Howie, he hates I definitely want to get into it because I think you make a very, very interesting point about the moving outrage over the investigation announcing it on Twitter. And I got to get your take on Sarah Jung and the former that erupted over the weekend. She's appointed to the editor about the weekend, the week of Friday. She's appointed to the editorial board of the New York Times. It turns out,
Really stunning. I mean, not only are
My friends, it's no surprise. Let's be real here. The New York Times itself is ugly and awful. Back in the 1940s, the New York Times refused to run stories about the Holocaust, or at the very least, they ran short stories that didn't say much, and they buried them in the back. There's no liberal cause the New York Times doesn't like. It pretends to be the paper of record. It's not. They're far left. They wanted Hillary to be president. They did everything they could to make her president. And the fact that they've got a piece of garbage like Sarah Jung on the editorial board just confirms everything that I just said.
I wasn't joking when I said she will fit right in on the New York Times.
Exactly right.
And then keeping her for liberals and someone for us is really brilliant. Maybe embarrassing example that they have.
And my friends, listen, it's important to point out the New York Times could not fire Sarah Jung without getting sued, because after all, she's an Asian woman. And if you fire an Asian woman, you must be racist and misogynist, and so, yeah, you're going to have to lawyer up.
Of the New York editorial board, but I mean, when she sits down,
It looks like a Benetton.
yeah, when she sits down for that first meeting, she's going to be smelling dog, right? How is she going to get over this
Not too
stench?
many white men, actually. They're very. What annoys me is I have also been screaming from the rooftops and also alluded to suddenly in some of my tweets. The enraging thing about diversity and integration is, no, that's not what this was ever about. Actually, it was about integration, not about diversity and multiculturalism. This is pushing the black experience aside. I'm sorry, black people have a special place in America. They were brought here, and I mean African Americans, not an immigrant who comes in and happens to have dark skin. No, the African Americans who have been in this country for centuries, they got the short end of the stick for a few centuries. We changed constitutional provisions. We changed rules about property rights. They can tell us no, we don't want you to use these words. Set asides for African Americans, affirmative action, for African Americans. Okay, fine, yes, they deserve it. I mean, I think some of these policies are counterproductive, but that's a separate point. But where, why, when do, you have ties arriving on Friday and on Monday announcing, I noticed there are no ties on the evening broadcast. Well, screw you! We didn't do anything to you. How did immigrants come in and piggyback on the black experience in America? That is nothing but an anti-white American policy. That is pure anti-whiteness. And again, I mean, I point this out, even though it's an utter digression in my book, but I was citing, I think it was an Indian woman with some fancy diversity job up at Harvard, and it has nothing to do with the book, but I just dropped a footnote saying, note to black people, all the good affirmative action jobs are going to people who didn't come here on slave ships. I mean, I'd be really ticked off if I were in Africa. No, this is for them.
Well, I mean, Harvard has a long tradition, though. Harvard has a long tradition of giving away jobs that should be going to immigrants or to people who actually deserve them, people who are actually discriminated against.
Excuse me, young man. The people who deserve jobs are the people who do the best job in them. People who deserve jobs are not those who belong to a group that's been discriminated against. People who deserve jobs are the best qualified people for the jobs. You get that wrong, you've got pretty much everything wrong.
Historically marginalized communities.
No,
Elizabeth
immigrants.
Warren.
How did immigrants get in that sentence?
Sorry, I meant marginalized people. Native Americans. Native Americans, I think, exist in the same category along with African Americans. I was just taking a shot at Indians. I was just taking a shot at Elizabeth Warren.
And I will give you African Americans. That's it. No, there is no reason for someone who came to our country of their own volition, and we were nice enough to let them in. Oh, now they get positions and places at Harvard over native-born Americans, actual Americans, white Americans, and that is what is happening. It is anti-whiteism being disguised as being snuck through on as if it's part of civil rights. No, civil rights is for black people. The end. Good night.
All right.
My friend's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. But in this day and age, if you say that, someone's going to call you a racist. And as far as a lot of people are concerned, that's the worst thing in the world.
All right, I want to turn to your column. This is published on August 1st. The ACLU won't rest until every illegal gets in. And, to go about your website and various other places that carry your column, I thought the funny point that you make is that despite all the outrage, I mean, I guess the TV-dominated, the all-encompassing outrage, people over the White House press briefing for a couple of days in a row, it took over social media, and it was the policy at the border of, separating children from parents before the court case, and it was happening under the Obama administration, mainstream media conflicting, realizing it was also happening under the Trump administration. But then when we have these congressional hearings, as we did last week, focused on the child separation policy, well, there's no nothing. I didn't hear anything about it. So what's the most
And my friends, here's a homework assignment for you. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, Ann Coulter's new book comes out, Resistance is Futile. I'm going to buy it and read it. I want you to buy it and read it and lend it and talk about it and create some real change with it. Let's take a break and we'll come back with more, my friends. Riell Truth does what it always does. It marches on.
Animal health protected for me and pray for them. Thank you all for being and powerful. Moving forward, physical, and to those of you who back home for mission to God, know that your dedication to God and courage are appreciated. God bless America. This message is from Animal Health Protected for me and pray. Proud of the right force of our
My friends, welcome back to Riell Truth. You know, back in 1989, I met my first wife in the city of Chicago. Little surprised then that it's become a place of horrifying hatred, ignorance, brutality, sadism, and nearly unlimited slaughter. Here's Laura Ingram.
Chicago just recorded its deadly
This is a mother slapping her son in the head and chasing him away from the riot so he wouldn't take part in it. You've seen it. One-party Democrat rule for decades, and people are being slaughtered in the streets. My friends, at a certain point, you've got to connect the dots. Rahm Emanuel, Obama, Hillary, they're all cut from the same cloth. They're all morons, and they're dragging this country down, down, and down. We'll be back.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, the Son of the Father, he has declared him. Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 15. Article 4. The right of the legal to be secured in the first housing, favor, and defense against unreasonable hardship and danger shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be made to cut off child will shop children to destroy her law.
Could be effective. Please take everything track it
At all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. The President of American Weapons Syndicate Corporation for residential or commercial weapons syndicate, call 303-263-4228.
All right, folks, welcome back to Riell Truth. Conservative activists Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were accosted by leftist protesters while they were having breakfast. Now, you may think it's okay, but if you do, you're an idiot. Here they are talking about the experience with Sean Hannity. No attempt by the liberals to find out what Kirk and Owens thought or had to say. No attempt to explain the leftist viewpoint to them and to make points intellectually. It is pure harassment, which is why the left needs to be crushed before it kills somebody again.
And the Owens, both friends of the show.
My friends, keep in mind, all the violence, all the harassment, all the hatred is coming from the left. Now, how are you going to vote in November? If you say you're going to vote for Democrats, then you are part of this unthinking mob.
Check your cool. And you see.
My friends, this is no different than what happened in Germany in the 1930s when Jews were attacked on the streets. This is the exact same mindset and phenomenon. If the Democrats win in November, my friends, these animals, these neo-Nazis, will gain power. You will have put these brown shirts, Stalin's brown shirts, into power. Stalin? I think I got my history wrong. It's okay. You will put these thugs in power if you vote Democrat. And so I urge you not to be that stupid.
Orders eliminate ICE kilo.
She's right. Democrats feel like they own blacks. I've been telling you for a very long time, my friends, and other people have been saying it even longer, the real racists are always on the left. They're always the liberals. They're always the Democrats. Democrats are upset at African Americans like Candace Owens because they're off the plantation. The Democrats want blacks on their plantation, year after year, supplying votes. Time for African Americans to declare their independence from a group that's been sucking them dry like a vampire bat. We'll be back.
No state shall receive any treatment of license or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, give it personal credit, make anything but gold and silver coin in certificate of debt, cast any bill of attainder, expose facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Chaplain Collins LLC with our emergency first responders for their professionalism, commitment, and grace. They're willing to put their lives on the line for us with little or no thanks. So let's all take the time to thank our first responders for all they do for us. Also thanking our veterans for the sacrifice they made for our freedom. This message is from Chaplain Collins LLC with 2 locations in Denver and Fort Collins, serving the community for over 13 years. Visit them online at chapelcollins.com. Total Concrete Service on authorized dedication. The men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment and courage keep our country safe and strong. Let us honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Salute those who serve today. This reminder from Total Concrete Service at 4462 Hilltop Road in Conway. Proud to serve the entire area and to work on behalf of our future. More information call 970-535-4780.
Item from the Miami Herald. Under President Xi Jinping, China's most powerful leader since Mao Zedong, believers are seeing their freedoms shrink dramatically even as the country undergoes a religious revival. Experts and activists say that as he consolidates his power, Xi is waging the most severe systematic suppression of Christianity in the country since religious freedom was written into the Chinese Constitution in 1982. Unquote. Item from the McClatchy News Service, Dateline, D.C. Habersham County's Mud Creek precinct in northeastern Georgia had 276 registered voters ahead of the state's primary elections in May. But 670 ballots were cast, according to the Georgia Secretary of State's office, indicating a 243% turnout. The discrepancy including in a number of sworn statements and exhibits filed as part of a federal lawsuit against the state by election security activists, comes amid swelling public concern for the security of Georgia's voting systems. Georgia is one of 4 states that uses voting machines statewide that produce no paper record for voters to verify, making them difficult to audit, experts say, unquote. My friends, they can stand down. They can relax. There's no need for public concern about the security of Georgia's voting system. There is no security for Georgia's voting system. Item. From the Economic Collapse blog, August 6th was one of the darkest days in the history of the internet. When I learned that Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Pinterest, and others had colluded to take down content from Alex Jones all on the same day, I knew exactly what was happening. They timed their attack so that it would hit the press at the beginning of the weekly news cycle on Monday so that their purge would have maximum societal impact. The fact that there was such overt collusion was obviously meant to send a message. We were supposed to understand that if they can do this to Alex Jones, they can do it to any of us. And so we better shut up and fall in line. I can't even begin to tell you how sick I feel right now. The big tech giants have made it abundantly clear how they feel about all of us, and there's no future for alternative points of view on any of their platforms. The recent purge of conservative voices has been going on for months, but this is the biggest bombshell by far. The following excerpt from a Los Angeles Times article is a typical example of how the mainstream media covered the story. Quote, major technology companies, including Apple, Facebook, and YouTube, deleted years of content from conservative conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and his InfoWars platforms over allegations of hate speech, a sudden clampdown that's fueling the growing debate over how big technology companies choose to censor. My friends, I will say it again for the umpteenth time, it is always the left that is the censor, that is the swiper of individual rights and liberty, all in the name of a higher good, mind you. Of course, the higher good is more power for them, more money for them, more political influence for them. And if they have to burn the Constitution or trample all over your rights, well, their liberals are willing to do that. And if you ask them why, it's because they're better than we are. They know more than we are, and so they're free to violate our rights, just like they're free to be racist, Sarah John. We can't do those things. In fact, we wouldn't want to do those things. But liberals feel entitled. That's what makes them so very, very dangerous. Now, I will be back tomorrow with more Real Truth, my friends. Go to my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. Go to howardriel.com. Lots of good stuff. Say hello to me on Twitter. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.